Hello, everybody. This is Mike with Healthcare Leadership Live, and we are live here streaming to LinkedIn and YouTube. And today's guest is Leslie Shields, and she is the founder of the Shields Agency,
Mhm.
which is a health insurance brokerage that helps businesses under 150 employees, but especially under 50 employees, so smaller
Mhm.
businesses with health insurance options. So, Leslie, thanks for joining me.
Yeah. Hi, how are you, Mike? Thanks for having me on.
Yeah, I'm doing great. I'm so excited to have you. And, this show is all about helping small healthcare businesses, understand their options with leadership. And right
Mhm.
now, we're in the middle of, or coming up on benefits renewal season.
Yeah.
And, businesses need to be competitive. They need to offer some kind of benefits. Health insurance is a big one, the biggest one, right? And so you're an expert in that, right?
Yeah. 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 Yes, I am, aren't I?
Yeah, and tell me a little bit
Yeah.
about you and your
Mhm.
agency and who you work with.
Yeah. So I've been in the business. We're actually coming up on our 10-year anniversary. We're throwing a little shindig at the end of
Ooh,
September. Yeah, I've been was the first 4.5 years I was on my own. I had, maybe a part-time assistant here and there. And then in November 2019, I launched the agency right before COVID. And so, which
mm,
was actually probably all of the blessings that came with that
mm,
was, and I can get into that a little bit more later, but we were able to grow. And so now we have anywhere between 10 and 13 employees.
wow.
50% of our business is going to be employee benefits, and the other 50% is individual and Medicare. But we use that, and even the individual Medicare space is really entrepreneurial focused. And we use those pieces and strategies to help do cost containment for our clients and their employees. Uh,
Okay, cool. Yeah, we can get into that for sure during the show. I'd love to hear
yeah.
more about that. So one place I'd like to start is, there's a lot of small clinics out there, which I would say is like under 100 to me is
Mhm.
small. That maybe they think health benefits is not something I really want to do, or maybe they're under 50 and
Mhm.
they're thinking, hey, I don't have to do benefits. I'm going to put it off as long as I can. In fact, I don't even want to get over 50 employees because I don't want to
Yeah.
have to do that. And so, what would you say to a clinic with that kind of mindset?
Yeah, so I think that there are some different strategies, and it also depends on the state that you're in. So if you're not providing, you're saying to your employees, go find your own
Mm,
coverage, right? Whether that's marketplace or whether it's through a spouse, um, go get your own coverage, and that's your
mm,
problem. And what we find is, especially your front desk staff at a lot of these clinics, is they
yeah.
just don't have coverage because they don't understand it. They don't, they've heard this or heard that. They don't know about the marketplace. They think it's too expensive, or they don't understand the subsidies they could qualify for in
Mm,
that space. So you find that most of the time they just don't have it. And a lot of our front desks, their kids are also on Medicaid. And so their kids are taken care of. That's fine. I'm not worried about me. And so then you end up with people who are not going to the doctor, who are not going and getting a cold taken care of. And then they're ending up out for 3 weeks. The other thing is recruitment and retention.
mm,
So if you are looking to bring in an office manager, an NP, a higher level physician, I
mm,
know a lot of our clinics they started providing because they wanted to bring on additional doctors, and the doctors were like, "I don't want to come work for you. You don't have any health insurance. What am I tell my family?" And so that the recruitment and retention piece is huge as well. Some states do have good options on the individual market. I would say that I know in Texas in particular, and a lot of states don't offer PPOs in the individual space. And
mm,
that can be a big recruitment piece if you're wanting to bring on some higher level professionals, is they're saying, nope, we got to have the PPO. And so what we do is, whether you have under 50, we look at a full gamut of your makeup. So how much are your employees making? Where are they best served? Do we want to do like an ICHRA individual coverage HRA setup? And then your employees could possibly utilize some subsidies on the marketplace. What is going to be the best value for your employees and for you as an employer?
mm. Okay, so kind of a consultative approach,
Yeah, absolutely.
as opposed to just, okay, this is what Blue Cross and Aetna said. What do you want?
Yeah, yeah,
And
absolutely.
and we were talking just before. You were saying that you go beyond just the normal
Mhm,
Aetna. Here's your Aetna. Here's
mhm.
your, United Healthcare options.
Mhm.
Can you talk a little bit
Yeah,
more about what sort of alternatives are out
yeah.
there?
So we work with about 5 wholesalers, and these are companies out there and agencies who help us get access to products on the market.
Mm,
And meaning what is out there, who have they vetted, who have they worked with, what's a good fit for our clients' makeup. And so third party administrators offer, and there's a lot of them out there, they're offering underwritten plans, level funded, meaning it's not, you're not going to be like at risk of spending all of your money,
mm.
that can save people 20-30% on their rates. And we may even see that savings increase at this next renewal cycle, because the renewals we've seen from some of the big guys are pretty steep.
Mm,
They are, they're going up.
yeah.
And so because they're going up, we're having to do the work, and it is a little bit more work. You're doing some underwriting, some different paperwork, but we're there to walk everybody through that, and take your group to market and run some different kind of strategic options to see if we can find a good fit for you.
Okay. Okay. Interesting. Yeah. Renewals are going up. It sounds like
Yeah, I
steeply.
mean, I don't think anybody really expects their health insurance to go down. I mean, it's been
That-
years. I remember one year, probably about 7 years ago, we did see rates go down, and we were like, "What?"
yeah. Yeah.
But they really are. I think some of the carriers are really catching up from COVID.
Like some of the
Mhm.
expenses they were hit with have gone
Yeah,
up, and so they're like, we need to
yeah,
jack the rates
yeah.
up.
I think so. I think that's what we see happening.
Mm. Are there, I've heard of folks trying to offer this sort of telemedicine
Mhm,
only type of policy. Is that
mhm.
something that you guys offer, or is that just sort of like a gimmick that you're seeing people do out there?
I mean, it's better than nothing,
Mm,
right? Like it is like you can offer EAPs, you can offer telemed. All of these are nice benefits, but at
mhm.
the end of the day, they're not major medical.
Yeah.
They're not helping your employee when they go to the hospital.
Mm, yeah. And I think that's what a lot of people think about. They think about that big thing that's gonna just
Mhm.
ruin them financially, right?
Yeah. Yeah. So what did we were talking about? I was talking to my friend who does PNC yesterday, and she said insurance is not about aggravation; it's about devastation.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I think people are thinking about that big hit. They're like, "You know what?
Mhm.
I can go to the doctor, or I can, maybe get a minor procedure." Now, as I say that, I think people put off
Mhm.
even the little expenses,
Yeah.
right? Like if they have a high deductible plan and they have to go to a specialist or something, they're very likely to have you found that people are likely to put that off?
Yeah. Absolutely. Yeah. Absolutely. The costs, and then too, a lot of people say HSAs, and I think HSAs can be a really good fit
Mm,
for the right income bracket. Your front desk
mm,
worker, because an HSA is still your money. Your front desk worker doesn't have the money to even put into an HSA for
yeah,
that to benefit them, nor do they understand it.
mhm.
Tax benefits for them are not something that's on their radar.
Yeah, they're just thinking about that paycheck right
Mhm.
there, and I think
Yep.
that's as an HR consultant, my advice is always to start with, "Hey, think about when these folks making $25 an hour or
Mhm.
less, they're looking at their paycheck. They're not thinking about tax advantage, this and that.
No,
They're probably not participating in the 401k like they should.
no.
And if you as an employer can fund the HSA to a significant amount, that's a benefit,
Yeah,
but that's not very common necessarily.
no, no, it's not. And what we're finding in rates, though, too, is you're it used to be that we saw that plans that were HSA applicable were a lot less expensive with the high deductibles than some of your mid-tier deductibles with copays. But what we're finding is that they're so close
Mm.
in premium that unless you're going to really benefit from the HSA tax savings, a lot of people would rather have copay.
Oh, totally. I was working with a firm not that long ago where it was just that the HSA and the that mid PPO were basically the same.
Yeah.
And so why would you choose
Why? Yeah.
that?
Yeah. Yeah. And I honestly, for the right income bracket, it makes sense. Like if you're making money and you really need the tax shelters, then that could benefit you. I mean, obviously talk to your CPA, see if it benefits you. We're happy to help you choose that option. But when we're looking at a group, we're going to build into a plan multiple different options. So a lot of the carriers will let you do 4, 6 different plans. And the reason you want to do that is so you're hitting all levels of your employees, from your lower income employees to your CEO.
Okay. Wow. 4 to 6.
Mm-hmm.
That's significant. A lot of the smaller employers that I talk to and I consult with, they're thinking about PEOs, or they've been on a PEO, or someone has pitched them on a PEO, and they're unsure, right, about what to do. But sometimes these PEOs, professional employer organizations, will promise large cuts or large savings in health benefits, and they kind of package things up. What have you seen, your clients who have maybe been on PEOs before, or maybe you have clients that are also on PEOs, what have you heard them say about the cost savings, or the benefits of packaging all that stuff up?
So I think for some people it can be a good fit. And we have people who come to us who are like, I really want a PEO. I have this PEO quote, and we're happy. We have some internal PEOs we work with too. We're happy to take that quote out. But what I always try to educate people on is, while you may bring me your medical rates from that PEO, and you may and I've got open market rates, and you're saying this is so much cheaper than open market, is I always like to educate people that it is so much cheaper because you're paying fees elsewhere, right? The cost is made up at some point in the comparison. They're never apples to apples, because that medical rate looks really good, but because it's being made up for elsewhere. And so, and a lot of people get into the PEO situation that think they have been sold or told that they are getting, HR, benefits, compliance, all the pieces. And I think that there are definitely places for PEO services, but what I find is that you can't be an expert at everything, right? And so when I have talked to clients who may have open market medical, they're like, is your PEO handling your compliance? Well, I don't know what's supposed to be in my compliance. Is your PEO built you a guidebook? Well, what do you mean? No. Well, have they done your handbook? Like all of these pieces that should be, if they're providing HR, if they're providing medical, the things that should be included, I find a lot of times they're not getting the attention that they need, because having an HR guy or having a broker to do your medical, that's the line of expertise.
Yeah. And, before we go on, I want to say, and I definitely have a follow-up question on that, is if you're watching live and you have a question for Leslie, if you're on LinkedIn, you can just write a comment on the LinkedIn feed there, and we'll see that comment. We'd love to take your comment or your question, and Leslie's here to chat with you. That's why we're here live. So please don't hesitate to do that.
Yeah.
But when when a broker like you comes in and supports a client, there are regulatory things, right, that go along with that. You've got ACA reporting, you've got ERISA plans and things like that. Are those things that y'all assist clients with?
Yeah, actually. So we've got a couple of different tools to do that, in terms of, we have an internal benefit admin system that can help those clients who are utilizing that portal build out those programs. We have a compliance corner on our website. So even if you're just wondering, like, am I compliant? You do not have to be a client of ours to access this. But if you go to our website under small business, it says compliance corner. And so that is actually put together through one of our wholesalers. And it is all the things nationally that are compliant, and things, compliance news. There's constantly things coming out that you should be aware of. Your broker should be making you aware of. And then we also work with some individuals, some compliance professionals who can custom build those kind of programs and platforms out for you as well.
Okay. Yeah, that's always helpful to have because there are a lot of things and filings and documents and things that you need to be
Mhm.
aware of. And it sounds like maybe there's some state level requirements
Yeah,
too at times.
yeah, absolutely. So there's federal level, there's state level, there's a lot, and it's constantly changing, constantly changing.
Mm,
And so we've gotten to the point. That's why we developed the compliance corner piece on our website, is because we got to where trying to send out communications to clients every single time something updated was overwhelming for them. They stopped reading it.
mm.
Right.
I'm gonna have to check that out because
Yeah, no,
like
it's a great resource, absolutely. And so it's something that you could put on your website as a resource tool, because it's kept up by one of our wholesalers and their legal team, and they have even some compliance podcasts and different things going on there too.
and what is the website address for your
So
company?
it's on theshieldsagency.com. So THE Shields, like my last name, agency.com, and it's under the small business page.
Okay, cool. Awesome. Sounds like a wonderful resource. Um, let's see here. I was thinking you talked about individual
Mhm.
insurance a little bit, and that makes up a big part of your insurance. And you mentioned the word subsidy
Yep.
and something that may be changing. And
Yeah.
obviously, I'm not an expert, and things change frequently. But
And they're still changing. We literally have no idea what we're
okay,
looking
so we don't, because there,
at. Mhm.
for folks that don't know, individuals can go out in the open market and they can, at least at one time, you could get a subsidy to help get insurance,
Mhm.
but that's maybe in question right now. Is that right?
So it's a level of subsidy. So pre-COVID, we had a certain level of subsidy. During COVID and after COVID, that level went up significantly. So
Hmm.
the subsidy was greater, and the income level that you qualified for the subsidy at was also greater. And so what we're looking at right now is, honestly, it's just been back and forth. So there was a big beautiful bill. There's been court cases. Now there's going into reconciliation. We aren't, by this time of year, we're usually getting all of our updates and trainings from our wholesalers, from our carriers. They're letting us know what to expect. I mean, open enrollment for us starts for individual November 1st. For Medicare, it starts October 15th. So we're less than a month out, and we still, honestly, there's still things changing. We really have not even been given these updates yet because they have
Hmm.
nothing to update us on. It just keeps going back and forth.
And that's unfortunate because people are gonna have to decide,
Yeah.
do I go with employer plan or
Mhm.
spouse plan or open market?
Yeah. And that's one thing too, is people, again, we'll see how it all rolls out, but you can qualify for open market subsidized plans, even if you have a plan offered from your employer.
Mm,
And more than likely, there's a higher likelihood that your spouse or dependents might qualify for a subsidized plan, even if you're offered a plan through your employer. It has to do with income and calculations. And so we'll have the final numbers on that going into November. Dear God, I hope we have the final numbers on that going into November 1st.
right.
I really hope that that's what's happening. Yeah.
I hope so too, for everyone's sake there. But that's good to know,
Yeah.
because a lot of times companies will make employee only a fully covered premium, but then you'll see big jumps when you want to try to
Yeah.
add kids or family. So what you're saying is you could cover yourself under your employer plan potentially, and then get your family covered on a subsidized
You could do
marketplace.
that. And that's one of the things when we work with clients that we talk to them about, is we help the whole employee
Yeah.
and the things that are important to the employee. And
Okay.
if you have a broker who doesn't work in that space, they're
Mm.
not going to understand the offerings that could be more beneficial.
Okay. Yeah, that's interesting. I've actually, I think that would be a real benefit to be able to say, "Hey, look, I'm going to help you with all of this."
Yeah. Yeah.
Group plan, individual, we can assist you
Mhm.
there. Um, if there's employers out there, they're thinking maybe I want to have benefits, or maybe I've got health insurance benefits, but man, I got that 30% renewal, or maybe I'm not happy with my
Mhm.
broker. So we're getting to that point. Is
Mhm.
it too late to think about it? And then what are the kind of the
Mhm.
steps that they should be doing as they approach their renewal?
So we've actually been getting, it's not too late. right? And most January renewals have not even come out yet. I don't think we've even gotten December. Maybe they're going to drop in the next few days. So you can shop, absolutely. And we are, I mean, it's too late to shop for 9/1, but other than that, we can shop 10/1.
Okay.
And you can also shop mid-year if you're on a plan that is just, you're like, what did we get into? Most carriers will give you deductible credit to change mid-year. And so so even if your employees have already spent money towards it, that's okay. They'll get credit on the new plan and you don't have to wait. I would also argue that changing your renewal date to a not January 1st date gets you better service.
I have found that because I had a 7/1 plan date for a long time at a organization, and man, the broker loved it. We loved it. It was great communication.
Yeah, everything moves faster. The carriers are not bogged down. People can answer the phone. Like it seems to be a better experience for everybody. But we're also getting an influx of agent of record changes. So for companies that have benefits in place and maybe they are just frustrated with their broker or the plan, or aren't getting the service that they are, or maybe they're direct with a carrier and not getting any service. We are taking over agent of record, which is just like a little signature on a plan with your plan, little document with your plan information, and we can become the agent on your current plan and help you get through the next couple of months while we're shopping and seeing what else is on the market for you.
Yeah. When whether someone's changing or not, their plan or their broker, what are things to help the employees, help if the leader is thinking, gosh, I really want my employees to understand this plan. I really want them to get the most out of it. What are things they should be thinking about doing to try to boost engagement with the plan? Because they're putting effort and time into offering benefits. They want their employees to participate, and they want the employees to be healthy and all that. What are some things they could do to help with that?
So we host a lot of virtual open enrollment meetings, and we can do them in person. But honestly, we find that some larger companies will do 2 or 3 different meetings, so people can get on when it works in their schedule. You're not having to shut the whole company down for, an hour to have everybody sit in one meeting. We'll do 2 or 3 virtual meetings, and people can also stay on those meetings and ask private questions to us as broker that they may not want to ask in front of their coworkers or boss. And then just having education. So if your broker is providing education on how to use the plan and people have a resource, then they're much more likely to use it. And a resource that's not you, a boss, an owner, coworker, they need a resource that's outside of their employment.
Yeah, that helps. It helps to have someone that
you don't want to go talk about some things that, that may be very personal to your health with your boss.
Right. That makes total sense. And sometimes HR fills that role, but if HR is internal in the organization, they may not want to share that.
Exactly. Yeah, exactly. So, we're really here to serve that role. And I always say that, like, if you have an employee who gets diagnosed with cancer, do you want to give them a 1-800 number to learn how to use their benefits? Or do you want to send them to a consultant, a person who has a relationship with your business and cares about you and your employees to have that conversation?
You mentioned the term level funded, and I would gauge that most people probably don't know what that is.
No.
And so can you talk a little bit about, the funding options and maybe like fully insured versus some of these other options and why they should consider
I've actually got a white page coming out on the difference of these two, Mike. So as soon as I get then it's like almost done.
Okay.
As soon as I get that done, I'll get it over to you. Anybody who would like kind of that free white paper on difference in guaranteed issue, level funded, and self-funded. And so like a Blue Cross Blue Shield, where they just take your data, your employees, your census, and say, I've got 5 40-year-olds, we're going to charge them X amount. And those are going to be guaranteed issue. No one's going to ask medical questions. And so that's going to be your first kind of rate. It tends to be one of the more expensive rates, but also everyone is offered coverage, right? So guaranteed issue. If you have pre-existings, everybody gets the same rate. A level funded plan is going to be underwritten, always covering pre-existing conditions, but it's underwritten, and they can say no. They can say, we're so sorry, we've got your medical data. It's too big of a risk to take on. It's not a fit for our insurance carrier. Thanks, but no thanks. And so it can be one of those things where you can save quite a bit of money, or it may not be a fit. You can also, depending on the carrier, qualify for money back out of your claims fund. So they kind of break it out where a certain percentage of your premium overall cost goes into your claims fund. And at the end of the year, you guys were all super healthy, the carrier will write you a check. Mm-hmm. Depending on the carrier, as to how much that is, but that is also can be a benefit. Now, you may not qualify for anything. The protection is that you never owe more than your claims fund though either, right? So if you had a year where you blew it out of the water, that's fine because you never owe more than your premiums. And self-funded, which is something that honestly we're not in, and I don't work in the self-funded space per se because we work with small companies, and the self-funding is 99% of the time too big of a financial risk for small businesses to be responsible for their medical claims.
Gotcha. Yeah. And that's where they would really be on the hook for everything, with some limits at times. But
you can build some stuff in, but for the most part, we work in the level funded. And it seems to be the best fit for small businesses.
Gotcha.
Level funded and guaranteed issue plans, like the big guys. Although most of the big carriers have kind of gotten into the level funding space too.
Okay. Interesting. Well, is there something we haven't touched on that you think would be useful for small businesses to know?
So if you have, and this has been a law for a long time, I think the carriers have kind of just let it slide. If you have less than 20 employees, and we find this with owners a lot of times, they'll want to stay on the company plan. If you have less than 20 employees, Medicare is primary. So whether you have signed up for Medicare or not, if you are over the age of 65 and eligible for Medicare, the carriers have, kind of just just continue to pay claims in the last few years. They are not doing that anymore. People are getting $100,000 bills. And if you have not actually, and they're treating you as if you have Medicare, whether you have followed the rules and signed up or not.
Wow. So make sure your Medicare eligible employees are helped to get onto that.
If you have less than 20, and if you have more than 20, we actually have some strategies and things that we've worked with some compliance experts to be in compliance with the laws, but also how to talk to your older employees about Medicare. And there are some ways you can help offset that cost too. Yeah. Because if you have less than 50 employees and you've got, several over Medicare eligible employees on your plan, it can be really expensive for your employees.
Yeah, and I would think that having them run their claims through Medicare is going to help your plan, your claims rate, right?
It can, but like I said, we've worked really closely with some compliance lawyers to verify that we are crossing the T's and dotting the I's, because you have to be very careful in that space on what you can and cannot do.
Okay, interesting. Well, it helps to have someone walk you through that, and sounds like you are the person that could help with that. And so your website again, share that with us.
Yeah, so it's www.theshieldsagency.com.
Okay, and you work with clients across the country, is that?
Yeah, across the country. Yes. Yeah.
Okay, cool. Now, I did want to touch, you said that you have a podcast and you're working on, I would love to give you the chance to chat about that because it sounds fascinating.
Yeah, so we are in pre-launch mode. We have a few webinars out on our YouTube page, and we kind of started in the webinar space, and then we really revamped it and dialed in that it's an actual podcast, and it's life, business, and everything in between with me. And I am talking to entrepreneurs and business owners about the authentic journeys that they are going through. And I think a lot of times when you are in business for yourself, or either by yourself or with a team of people, there's a lot of pressure that it's all roses, and it's not at all. And your business, and for business owners, it's like a living organism. And when you're healthy, your business is healthy. When your business is healthy, you're healthy, and how it's all tied together. And so they are very, very authentic conversations. And so we've recorded several so far. And the next one I was telling Mike was with me and my husband, and we both own different businesses. And so kind of just talking about what that double entrepreneur life with a tiny human looks like.
Well, a lot of people listening to the show probably would identify because they may be running a small business or an owner of a small business. And so I look forward to being able to share that when it goes live.
Yeah, perfect. Yeah, we're shooting for the end of September. So.
Okay, cool. Awesome. Well, Leslie, thank you so much for joining me. I truly think, and I think we all believe here that health benefits are really critical, retention tool, attraction tool, and just having a partner. I've done HR for 20 years, and I have always relied heavily on my broker partner, someone like you, to help me with the compliance and the expertise, because there's so much technical with that you can't master. So thank you for coming on and talking about that.
Absolutely. Thanks for having me.
Absolutely. Well, so yeah, that brings a conclusion here to Healthcare Leadership Live. Please follow the show and stay tuned with the audio podcast or the LinkedIn Live broadcasts that go out. We'd love to have you part of the family. And if you have a topic you'd like to hear about, or a guest you'd like to suggest, or if you'd like to be a guest, I'd love to hear from you. But with that, we're going to close things up. Thanks for watching, and thanks for listening, and go out there and lead with confidence.